Okay, so hey guys, so tonight I wanted to share with you my first installment in my makeup stash series. I have been really inspired to do one of these since I've been seeing Kathleen Lights posting them, and I think Makeup by Tiffany D. So I figured I would start my own series of my first installment. That's going to be eyeshadow palettes. Now, I have a crap ton of eyeshadow palettes. For some reason, a girl thinks that she never needs enough eyeshadow, so she always thinks that she needs more in her life. So I have a huge container of my eyeshadow palettes that I'm going to share with you, and then a couple more in this rack right here that I will show you, along with some single shadows. So we are just going to not waste any time and jump right in. So right on the top are my two Z palettes for Makeup Geek shadows and blushes. So these are, obviously you guys know how much I rave about these, but these are my most used eyeshadow palettes probably out of my entire collection. I just can't stop using the foiled shadows and the neutrals in these. I just think that they're amazing. I am wearing a few of the dual chrome shades today. So in this Sephora palette, I keep all of my foiled shadows here, which are on these two rows here and a couple down here. And then the rest are all dual chrome shades. I am wearing this color Black Light on the lid today. I love it. So that is that palette. I don't really have to go in depth with these. And then this Z palette has all of my neutral Makeup Geek shadows, my favorite Beaches and Cream, Creme Brulee, etc. My Makeup Geek blushes, some new shades, Desert Sands, Chickadee, Bitten, Cocoa Bear, etc. I love these shadows so freaking much. I use the shit out of them. Then the next palette on top is a new palette as well, and this is the MAC eyeshadow 15 warm neutral palette. I have been using this a lot as well. These shadows are kick-ass, like so blendable, so good. I really don't have to talk about it anymore. You guys know the shades in here as well. You can look them up on MAC.com. Obviously, Makeup Geek you find on, sorry, my boyfriend sent me a really cute text right now. Sorry, it was just really adorable. But, sorry, he's like complaining that it's like poetry week in his class, and he sent me this really funny like 4-line poem that he just made up right now. It's making me crack up. But anyway, these are thebomb.com. I did get this like for $10 off. This is a expensive palette, but I think it's worth every single penny. I think that this is better than my Marc Jacobs palette, and I get a crap ton more shadows in here. This palette's like $15 more than that, and you're getting full-size MAC shadows in here. Like, you really can't beat the price of this. So I've been loving that lately as well. Then the next one on top is another new palette, and this one is the Morphe 35O palette. I have used this twice already, and I am falling in love with it already. I did use it throughout the entire weekend when I first got it on Friday. And obviously you can see it has 35 shades in here. This is the last palette that I'm going to pick up for quite a while now. I literally have all the eyeshadow palettes I could ever want. The only one that I actually really want now, I just saw it announced today on TooFaced.com, is a new chocolate bar palette, but I'll get into the name and everything when I start talking about those palettes in a second. But this palette is amazing. I know that it's very hard to come by, but you basically, you know, you gotta be on the website first come, first serve. You gotta pay attention when this palette's in stock, because it goes really fast. So you really have to like be on your game and see when they announce this on Instagram or when they announce it on their website. Like, you can't really dilly-dally with this. You have to like make sure you like get on top of it. So this is my first eyeshadow palette from Morphe. That's also my first MAC palette, but obviously I've tried a lot of MAC shadows in the past, but I've never tried Morphe eyeshadows before. I do have just a few of their brushes that I've been using for the past couple of weeks, and now I have this palette, and I have to say I'm very pleased with it. Okay, now I'm going to get into some of my smaller palettes that are on top here. So the first one is the Urban Decay Ammo palette. Now, I definitely love, love, love this palette. This is a very good quality eyeshadow palette. I mean, it's Urban Decay. You really can't go wrong with these. I did get this for a ridiculously good price at Ulta. They were had this on sale for $15, so I got this for $15. The usual price for this palette is $15, but usually they $30. But they usually run this on promo quite a few times, and they were selling it for $15. So, like, I needed to snag it. And when I got this, I got the last one. So, I was really happy that I got the last one in Ulta. So, we have Smog, Mildew, Oil Slick, Last Call, Chopper, Maui Wowie, Shattered, Polyester Bride, Grifter, and Sin. Now, some of these shades are repeats that I have in the Naked palettes, but it's really okay because I got so many new pops of color in this palette without trying single shadows like Shattered, Mildew, Maui Wowie, Grifter, Last Call. They're all amazing shades. I really love using these two shades when I wear like purple and red outfits. Like, I really like using this palette for that, along with like the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. So this is a great quality palette as well. I haven't used it in a while, but I will get into it again. Then another small palette up here is one of my favorites. This is the ColourPop Where the Light Is Kathleen Lights collaboration. I probably have raved about these like a million times, but I absolutely love this quad. It doesn't really count as an eyeshadow palette, but I would say it's like just an eyeshadow collection because you do get 4 shades in here, but they are single pots like the single shadows here from ColourPop that I'll share with you. So this one is Glow, this one is Cornelius, this one is why can I remember the name? This is my favorite shadow of all time for the lid, and this one is Kathleen Lights. I know I'm a little biased, but I absolutely friggin' love this shade so fucking much. And then this one is Blaze. This quad is ridiculously amazing. I was so impressed. ColourPop Shadow is my all-time favorite lid shades. So now we're going to get into some of the smaller palettes in the front. So the first one here is the Stila Where the Stila Eyes Are the Window Shadow Palette. Now this palette is really, really pretty. I don't use it as often as I would like to, but it is a beautiful palette. I do try to have at least a few palettes or one palette from each high-end brands that I really do like, and this is the one palette that I own from Stila. For Urban Decay, I own obviously the Naked palettes, and then like these other palettes are like first-time palettes for me. The MAC one is expensive, and then I have the Morphe palette, which obviously was one of my good buys. Sorry, I'm making sure I have like everything in here, but sometimes I don't. But this is a really beautiful palette. So you have Being, Individual, Light, Kitten, Affection, Character, Peace, Heart, and Thought, and Essence, Substance, and Vitality. So I haven't really experimented with these shades like down here, but I have used the majority of them, and these are super blendable, and obviously mostly every time I use this palette, I use Kitten on the lid, and it's just like such a beautiful award-winning shadow. You really can't go wrong with a palette that has Kitten in it, especially from, obviously from Stila. Like, if you buy a Stila palette, you want to make sure it has Kitten in there. So now I'm going to get into some other smaller palettes. The first two are the Makeup Forever Artist palettes. I have both of them. I have the Nudes You Need and I have the Colors You Crave. So I'm going to share those with you. Now, I was kind of balls to the walls excited to get these because I thought they were such an incredible value for the price. Because if you think about it, Makeup Forever individual shadows are like $22 a pop. But they are like, you know, very high quality shadows. Now, I do have two duos here. One of them kind of shattered, and I'm very upset about that. But I think the same shade is in this palette, so that's why I still have the palettes and then I can use this shade. But this was probably like my favorite one that I have. But I have these two individual palettes that I made myself of neutral shades that I knew I would use all the time. And the quality of these are amazing. They're so super blendable. But I tried to break these out of here to put into a Z palette, and it was a huge mistake because I didn't have the proper tools for them because I couldn't find my depotting tools, so I just tried to use a tweezer and it went really bad. So yeah, but I have this really pretty shimmery shade in here, this like ivory shade, this gold shade, and then this like reddish brown shimmery shade, but I'm so upset that it's like basically ruined. And then I have this matte brow bone shade. Then I have this really pretty medium brown shade, and then I have this darker matte brown shade. I really love these three. They're really pretty shades. And then I have obviously the two palettes. So this one, I don't know why it does not. Oh, this is the Nudes You Need, which I really, really like this palette. I think this one is so good, and I have used it quite a few times. I just don't find myself reaching for this very often, but I do try and use it when I can. And I really do like it. I think the quality is really, really good. But the Colors You Crave palette doesn't really have the same quality as the Nudes You Need. I did hear that about these palettes before I even got them, but I didn't care because I really wanted them to collect them, and also because I was really into trying new Makeup Forever shadows, because that's when everybody and their mama really loved Makeup Forever shadows, and that was like a few months ago, like when these came out. But I literally really don't use these colors very often at all. Like, I tried to use it like 2 or 3 times, and I just didn't think that the colorful shades were that amazing. I'm going to try them with MAC Fix Plus. Maybe I'll try them out tomorrow to see how I like them. But usually when I wear turquoise on the lid, I love using Makeup Geek's Pegasus or ColourPop's Ibiza. I don't really gravitate towards this turquoise shade in here, but maybe we'll use it tomorrow. We'll see. So that's that palette. And then I do have a couple more small palettes to share with you. So this one is called the, sorry, there's like a little bit of dust on these. This is the Tarte Showstopper Amazonian Clay Palettes. Now this is the palette I probably have not used in a while, but I really need to start using it again because it is a great palette. So it comes with like these 6 shades in here of eyeshadows, and it comes with a highlighter, a bronzer, and a blush. And I did use these shades quite a bit when I first got it. As you can see, I've shown some love to it. And I really do like it. I just haven't felt myself really wanting to use them very often now. But it's a great palette. So I will show some love to it eventually. Just, I have so many palettes that I love using so much that I just haven't been using this very much. But I do really like this palette a lot. It's a very high quality palette for Tarte. I think these are some of their best shadows in here. And I did put this in my top 5 favorite neutral palettes, so I really need to start using it again because it is one of my top 5. But other ones, of course, shortly took its place after that. Then, of course, I have 2 small Too Faced palettes. Too Faced shadows are my favorite of all time. They are my favorite palettes of all time, so I don't really have to go too in-depth. This is my favorite neutral palette. This is the Too Faced Natural Eyes palette. I find myself using this every week. Like, I just always keep on going back to this. It's just, you can't go wrong with this palette. It is so friggin' beautiful, and I think my sister might actually end up picking this up at some point because she keeps on looking at it. Or I might buy it for her for Christmas. I did want to get one of the Christmas palettes for her, but she keeps on looking at this one, that I might get this instead because it's the same cost as the Ulta one that I wanted to get her. But just, this is so perfect for like anybody. I feel like people that are starting off with shadow, this should be the palette that you get, like, or the Chocolate Bar palette. I think that they are amazing palettes to start working to blend eyeshadow with. If you're first experimenting with makeup, you should definitely go for this. I can't wait to tell, like, maybe if I have a daughter or something, which is hopefully, you know, in the next 10-15 years or something. Well, I mean, she wouldn't be like the age to play with makeup until I was like 40 or 45, but like, I just can't wait to talk to my daughter about makeup. I really hope she's as into it as I am. But I feel like this is just this would be a very old school palette by that time, but these colors are just amazing. You have Heaven, Cashmere Bunny, Sexpresso, Silk Teddy, Push Up, Erotica, Nudie, Honey Pot, and Chocolate Martini. And my favorite shades are Nudie, Silk Teddy, and Push Up. I just absolutely love, and Honey Pot's really gorgeous too. It's just the best palette ever. Like, I love this palette. And then the other one, of course, is the Too Faced Sugar Pop palette. This is like my favorite summer palette ever. It is just so friggin' adorable. I love it. I just haven't used it in a little while because, again, it is my summer palette. I did rave about this when I was talking about my summer favorites. This is just amazing. I love it so much. So you have Rock Candy, Macaron, Malted Milk Ball, Sugar, Strawberry Ice, Sugared Violet, Blackberry, Peach Fuzz, Bubblegum, and Blue Raspberry. So, yeah, I love, 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 love these Too Faced palettes. They're amazeballs. Then I just want to put some stuff away. I know I have a Marc Jacobs palette, just I don't know if it's actually in here. Sorry. Also, I do have one palette for nostalgic reasons, and this is the Too Faced French and Fabulous palette. I probably have talked about this like twice already, but this was like my favorite palette for a long time. It was the only eyeshadow palette I owned for like years, and it was like the only one I felt like I really needed, but then obviously your girl went balls to the walls for makeup, and now she loves everything. I'm referring to myself in the third person. That's really sad. But this palette is amazing. My brother got it for me for Christmas like years ago, and I can't seem to part with it because it just like holds a special place in my heart to start my obsession with makeup and to start my obsession with Too Faced because your girl loves Too Faced. Then to finish off talking about my Too Faced palettes, another new palette that I got that I have not used yet because I am saving this to use for the holidays. So then I can also use a lot more of my other palettes now more often. This is the Too Faced Le Grand Palais palette, right? It's the Sephora exclusive one, but this is the holiday one that they have. I really can't give my full opinion on this because I haven't used it yet. But I did try out some of them, and I actually really like it. So I think it's beautiful. I'm not going to go through all the colors. There's way too many in here. I just wanted to go through the ones like in the smaller palettes because that's just easier. But yeah, this is a really beautiful, gorgeous packaging. And oh my god, I love Too Faced so much. It's like so girly, so adorable. I love it. And I find myself using my Too Faced palettes so much more than any other brand. That's how you know that I'm a Too Faced girl. Then I also have 3 e.l.f. Disney Beauty Book palettes. I have the e.l.f. Good vs. Evil Disney palette from Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty is my favorite Disney princess, if you guys don't know that. And this was definitely the palette that I've used the most out of all of these. This was like my palette that I used besides like a NYX palette and like probably the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palettes for a while, and then I got a lot more palettes, but this was my palette for a while, like a month or two. So I love these shadows. This is the Sleeping Beauty side, and this is the Evil Queen Maleficent side. So I think it's such a cool beauty book. I first found out about these when I saw this online, and then I like went on the hunts for the other ones. So the other one that I have, strings popped off, so I'm sorry about that, but this one is the e.l.f. Jasmine Beauty Book. This one I've used a couple of times. I do like using this a lot when I wear my Jasmine shirts and stuff like that. And let's not have everything fall out. But I think that the layout, when I look at these again, I'm like, I need to use these again. So this is what's in this one. I'm not going to open it up because everything's going to fall, but it has like the 7 shadows, the bronzer, the blush, the blush brush, and the lip gloss. So these are really adorable. And then I also I really tried to get my favorite Disney princesses. I want the Belle one, but I haven't gotten it yet. And then I also have the Elf Elsa palette, the Snow and Ice one. The Jasmine one's called A Whole New World, and this one's called Snow and Ice. To be honest, I've only used this one like twice because I got it like at the tail end of December. But I did use the highlighter quite a bit. I was kind of obsessed with the highlighter for a little while. It is so beautiful. I'm so glad they decided to include a highlighter in here. So you have the 8 shadows up here, the highlighter. They don't have a blush in this one like the other two do. Now, actually, the Sleeping Beauty one doesn't. The only one that does is the Jasmine one. And there's a lip gloss here, and then there's just an eyeshadow brush here, which is really, really cute. And then it has a mirror and everything. So these are really adorable beauty books. I absolutely love them. They're all really, really great quality for the drugstore. So I only have about 4 drugstore palettes. Then we have like my favorite colorful shadows ever. That is the Urban Decay Electric palette. This was like one of my first palettes that my boyfriend got for me last year, along with one other palette, but I do find myself constantly going back to this. I love it so much. I could have used it today, but I actually used an Urban Decay liner on my lash line today, not any of these shadows. But the only sad thing about this is that I did drop it on the floor once, but all the shadows are still intact. I can't believe how durable this packaging is. But I really don't have to rave about this too much. You guys know I absolutely love this palette. So we have Revolt, Gonzo, what's this one? Savage. No, I can't see. Slow Burn, Savage, Fringe, Chaos, Jilted, Urban, Freak, and Thrash. I know most of the names in this palette, but they're amazing. Oh my god, these are just such amazing shadows. I'm probably going to use the pink or the blue tomorrow. Definitely the pink because I am wearing like a cupcake dress tomorrow, so I can't wait to use it. This was my palette I used like all through the winter last year. I was so excited to use it all the time that I used it all the time. Like, that was my winter palette. Oh, it is actually down here, like all the way down here. I just found the other palette I was going to talk about. Then I also have one palette from Kat Von D, and that is the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Contour Palette. This was definitely the palette that everybody was going balls to the walls over when the Vibe sale was this past February or April or something. But yeah, I love this palette a lot. It is so fucking awesome. It's just, I actually let my sister borrow it yesterday to see how she liked it for her show, because she is in a show, and I wanted to see if she liked it because she wants to bring more shape to her eyes, wanted to like add some more definition. So I was like, maybe you want to try this so you can contour your eyes, see if you really like it. She liked it, but she thought it was too pigmented, which I understand. But I do find myself using this every couple of weeks. I did just use it like 2 days ago, and I love it. It's such a great palette. Kat Von D shadows are great. And then the rest are Too Faced and Urban Decay palettes. So then the next one that is relatively new, I got this with my best friend before she went away. She got the same palette with me. This is the Too Faced Stardust Vegas Nail Palette. This palette is such amazing quality. She did an amazing job on this. I find myself using this at least once or twice a week. I love using it for work. I actually really loved using this for actually like going out. I think it's a really great palette to go out. I think it's like a very sophisticated eye. I used it a lot for Temple, and I don't know, I really was enjoying it for that. So I definitely love this palette as well. Okay, and then the last palettes are here are classic staple palettes that any makeup lover collects or every makeup lover has. So the first one is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. This palette is amazing. Like, amazing. This is basically a lot of people's all-time favorite palettes. I do love this palette, but I prefer a different palette over this one, but I still love it. These shades are just super blendable, super buttery. They're Too Faced shadows. Too Faced shadows are my favorites. I just can't get enough of them. I find myself using this palette at least a couple times a month now. There was a point where I wasn't using it because I had so many other palettes I wanted to use, but I do go back to this and use it when I can. I absolutely love this palette. I got this like right after I got the next palette I'm going to show you, which my boyfriend got that one for me for Valentine's Day. I just thought it'd be so cute for Valentine's Day that I was like, you need to get me this palette. So he got me the Too Faced Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palette. Oh my god, this is my favorite all-time favorite Too Faced palette besides the Natural Eyes palette. Those are my two favorite eyeshadow palettes ever. This is my favorite eyeshadow palette. I so gravitate towards the warm shades in here. I love them. There was a point where I was just using these two palettes for a straight month because these were first the only two new palettes that I had. But I was using the crap out of these like all through February. I just thought they were such romantic looking eyeshadow palettes that they weren't just a neutral eye. They were neutral eyes but more. You could like do so much with these, and like every time I would use it I'd be creating a different look. So I use these so much during Valentine's Day and through the month of February. I just absolutely love both of these palettes. And now they're coming out with a chocolate bonbon palette. So it's the third one in the chocolate bar series, and I'm like, oh, are you kidding me, Too Faced? Now I need that. Like right after I'm going to start using the holiday palette, I'm going to need the chocolate bonbon palette because that, hello, like I need that palette. So, but that's probably the last palette I'm going to pick up for a long time because I don't need any more eyeshadow palettes. But they announced it today on their YouTube and I was like, like I saw it on a notification on my phone and then it was like Too Faced chocolate bonbon palette and I was like, what? I was so excited. And then, before I share with you the last palettes, I also have a little Marc Jacobs palette. This is the Marc Jacobs, the Lover palette. So these are the shades in here. I did use the crap out of this when I first got it. I don't find myself using it as much now. I actually feel like I just kind of regret buying this now. I just feel like it was expensive and I just don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth out of it because I don't really use it that much anymore. But, you know, I'd probably say that about every eyeshadow palette that I have now because I always like gravitate towards newer palettes unless it's like the Makeup Geek foiled shadows or dual chromes. Like, I just absolutely love using these shadows for going out. They're just beautiful and they really like add such life to your eyes. So, like, I mean, come on. Can you beat what this looks like? So, I don't really find myself gravitating towards this anymore. Even when I used it for work, I was like, it's okay. It's not amazing. And then, of course, the last ones that I have are the 3 Urban Decay Naked palettes. One of these my boyfriend got for me, and the other 2 I purchased myself. And I actually got them in the complete reverse order. I actually got this one last, which is, of course, the first Naked palette. But honestly, this is like the only Urban Decay palette I find myself gravitating to all the time. Like, this one is the one I definitely use the most, besides the electric palette. But when it comes to neutral palettes from them, this is the one I use so much. My sister really wants this or the Chocolate Bar palette or the Natural Eyes palette. I'm like, yeah, those are like the 3 best palettes. But this is just amazing. I don't really have to go in depth about this. It's such an amazing palette. And then, of course, I have the Naked 2 palette. Honestly, I would have returned this if I didn't return the Naked Smoky palette. I just find myself never really using this at all. But since I have all 3, like, you know, I'm not going to go return this. But it's a good palette, but it's just like, I feel like the colors, you know, are a little bit dull. I just dropped the brush. That's not very good. Hold on one second. But yeah, I talked about this more in my like products I regret video. I did wear this in a video like probably February. I did wear it in like a Valentine's Day haul video that I showed what me and my boyfriend got each other for Valentine's Day. I like it, and I was wearing it a lot during, like, before Valentine's Day, like, and that's basically the only time I really did use it a lot was during the month of February. Like, I got this and the two Too Faced palettes, but I found myself using the Chocolate Bar palette so much more than this palette right here, so just don't really use it. But it's a nice palette. And then the last one, of course, is the Naked 3 palette, which, again, is a gorgeous palette. And he actually did get this one for me along with the Electric palette for Christmas last year. And then he got the Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palette for me for my birthday. But this one is beautiful. I love this palette so much. I just haven't used it because I have so many palettes to use, so I haven't used it in like a month or two. But I love it, and I really want to go back and use it. I'm going to really use it when I wear my Tangled dress, and I'm going to create like a really romantic eye. I love using it with that, with like a MAC eyeshadow that I love. So I'm definitely going to use it when I wear that. Definitely. And then the last ones are just a couple of drugstore. I have this NYX Dreamcatcher palette. This is a gorgeous palette if you want to get something from the drugstore. You don't want to spend too much money. I recommend this palette 100%. They are baked eyeshadows. I used the crap out of this when I first got it last December. I haven't touched it, though, in like a few months, though. I probably should go back and use it at some point, but this is a great palette. But I don't really feel guilty about not using this because this is like 10 bucks. So, and then I just have a MAC palette here, which I don't really use. It's just a little glittery MAC palette that my best friend got me for my birthday a few years ago. But it's so glittery, I really don't find myself using it that much at all. But I did use it quite a few times when she first got it for me. And then I just have single shades here that I keep. I have my ColourPop single shadows here. I don't really have to go in depth about them. Then I just have 3 prismatic shadows on this side from NYX. And then I have the Balm single shadow. And then I also have an Urban Decay Solstice shadow in here as well. I'm not going to tilt it over because everything's going to fall. And then I just have a backup of Beaches and Cream in here, my favorite Makeup Geek shadow. So I had to get a new one because, as you can see, I'm almost done with that one. That's like the first eyeshadow I've ever hit pan on in a long time. Because I used to use MAC shades every single day. I had my standard MAC shades every day, and I never had any other shadows, and now I have a million. So that is it. So please like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, it's TBW819, and my Twitter is PokerFace819. And I think, yeah, that's pretty much everything. So yeah, bye!